Hello, everyone. I am Liz Kopko, content manager with Beyond Type 2, and today we're here with Ty. Ty is a member of our Type 2 community, and so we really wanted to highlight kind of her experience living with Type 2. So, Ty, thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I follow it on Instagram and stuff. It's very exciting to be a part of it.
Yeah. So, to start us off, can you tell us a little bit about your diagnosis story?
My diagnosis story is sort of long in the context of years because I felt like uh, it started as, that pre diabetic stage and those numbers that they were giving you. And then it was like, well, it's not so bad, but it's not great. And you're still young. So we're going to kind of hold off. So I feel like it kind of took a really convoluted path and just was a really long time of sort of getting different medication and trying things and then being kind of put off because I was younger and presumably fit and healthy otherwise. So it ended up being a bit me, a bit of my doctors and my care team kind of trying to figure out where we wanted to go in those pre stages. So it was probably a better part of 6 years or more before I was like fully blown type 2 diagnosed, and my numbers were technically bad enough for me to get that diagnosis and fully sort of open the door to different medications and practices and things available for assistance beyond the pre-diabetic stage.
Uh, hmm. So, how long have you been living with type 2 now?
Full-blown type 2, I would say a little over 2 years ish, probably.
So that's still kind of a newer diagnosis, but I could see how, like, with the pre-diabetes diagnosis as well, like, it feels a lot longer, probably.
It does, and just trying to manage it and to learn how to manage it feels like a never-ending thing.
Yeah. How do you live kind of your best life with type 2 now?
I think it's kind of one of those balancing acts of, thankfully now I have like the Freestyle Libre and I can monitor, and I think that's really allowed me to have a better existence, an improved one, and I recognize that's sort of a something that not everybody has access to and not everybody can afford. It's definitely not cheap or free for a lot of people. So I think that if you're able to have it is just like a really big game changer in truly being able to enjoy your life a lot more and a lot more freely with the continuous monitors. But even before that, I think, for me, it was a lot of trying to balance having fun and having a life and not being afraid of the repercussions for the choices that I made, and knowing that nothing I was going to do was going to be perfect or right. And there was not going to be an outcome that was ever going to make me feel good 100% of the time. So I guess just sort of weighing those options and really making informed decisions as best I could for the moments or the experiences that I wanted to have, whether that was going out with my friends or eating specific foods that maybe weren't great for me, and knowing that there was some sort of, maybe I don't want to say withholding, but sort of cutting back in other areas that would make for that balance that would allow me to experience the things that truly mattered.
Yeah, that's great. And I totally agree. I personally, as a type 2, try to follow like an 80-20. Like 80% of the time, I follow some sort of plan. The other 20, out the window, enjoy life however it can. And it's about that balance, right? Of just being safe about everything, but also just still living your life the way that you want to live it. And
Yes.
so, one really awesome thing everyone should know about you is that you're a chef, right?
Yes, I am. Or I was classically trained as one. I won't say I am right this very moment, but yes, I did. I went to culinary school, did the whole gamut of things, and that was, oh gosh, probably like 8 or 9 years ago now. So it was quite a while ago, but it really has paid dividends in being able to have a much broader range of foods and enjoyable things to eat versus feeling really restricted to the same meals or the same food groups sort of over and over and over.
Yeah. So does diabetes impact your role as a chef? Has it, influenced it at all or anything?
Yeah, for it does, especially, on the personal side, just cooking for myself because
Mm.
I have a boyfriend, yeah, we have children. It's a whole thing of, people don't always want or need to eat like I want or need to eat. So I think it does help in the sort of the being able to prepare multiple meals for multiple people all at once. And then also, of course, like I said, finding variations or using things like spices or things like that to make stuff more enjoyable in a way that's truly palatable and like fun versus just eating something bland or something that might be good on the nourishment scale or the nutrition factor but not quite as nice to actually sit down and suffer through eating.
Yeah. Have you noticed that your relationship with food or that you've learned something different about food through your diabetes diagnosis?
Yes, and a lot of it's very, I don't know, kind of funny to me because some of it is just so opposite of what you might think, just
Mm.
intuitive based off of background or lifestyle and things like that. Like I was absolutely just decimated and I felt so betrayed by the fact that my body absolutely hates like white rice. It can't handle like potatoes. And I always knew that, but until I got the continuous glucose monitor, I couldn't really see how much it was truly hitting my system really, really a lot. And I think coming to terms and actually accepting the true amount of how little it takes,
Yeah.
it was very disappointing, I guess. And sort of like I said, it felt like a betrayal because I'm like, "Ugh, but this is like what I grew up on. This is how I exist. Like, I love sushi. I love to go eat, hot pot with my friends and things like that. And now I really had to scale back on that and rein it in on certain things like that I really thought were not as bad probably for me because genetically or like through my background, I should be able to like these things.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's definitely hard because not everyone has that information, right? Like having a continuous glucose monitor is really beneficial because you learn those little things about your body, right? It's very personalized. And I think that's something people that don't have diabetes don't really realize that it's a very personalized condition that you have to kind of figure out things for yourself, that trial and error.
Yes, for sure. And even things that I think, people generally think are healthy or stuff like that, even through having my diabetes diagnosis and stuff, I also ended up getting like food allergy testing done to check for like inflammation and things like that. And like super weird random thing, but like I'm allergic to chicken. And everybody's like, that's just so healthy. Eating so much protein, you should be having chicken at like meal. And turns out it's really not good for me.
Yeah, I've never heard of a chicken allergy, but it makes sense. If something causes inflammation, then it's probably not great to have all the time, even though it's, has this label of being, nutrition or like the better protein option. So yeah, that's definitely tough. How you mentioned earlier that you were an athlete. What does being an athlete with diabetes mean to you?
Honestly, I think I lump myself into the loosest category of like athletes. And, I'm not endorsed to do it, but I do. I think anybody is an athlete who's going out and being active in whatever way that they can or choose to be, and especially somebody who might have any sort of limitation or boundary that's not self chosen, they make this choice. And I think being an athlete with diabetes it's incredible nowadays. You have really popular individuals like Robin Arzon through Peloton and things like that, who are, well, she's type 1, but, diabetics who are really showing the world that there's a life outside of being limited by what's happening internally. And that, again, sort of back with the balanced life question, it's about how do you live your best life? And part of that is by living. And I think being an athlete really allowed me to do that, and was a good way to take out my frustration. Two, your doctor, anybody's diabetes or, doctor is going to say, you need to work out, you need to work out. Like you have to. So even now, so I did run half marathons. I did the Southern California Triple Crown, things like that. But it's unfortunately just really hard on your body.
Yeah.
And for I also, through my glucose monitor, found that like really high endurance things that last a long time, like that, were really causing a spike in my cortisol and thereby making my numbers just seem crazy. Even though I was working out a lot, it was just the wrong kind of working out.
Yeah.
So now, like, I'm a little bit more of a chiller athlete, and I'm doing a lot more walking and lifting and things like that. And I think, being an athlete is never, and being a person is never to be defined by labels or external limitations or anything else. Like, I never want to be, a diabetic athlete. I just want to be an athlete, right?
Yeah, I definitely couldn't have said that better. And how, and you mentioned like some forms of exercise can really cause a spike. And there's other types of exercise that can make people have hypoglycemia, low blood sugar events. How do you safely move your body when you do exercise or however you get your daily movement?
Well, it's a lot of trial and error, yes, and just sort of paying attention. I think you have to be willing to not be defined by your label, but you have to accept your truth and the situation. So in the beginning of when I was trying to figure out different methods of exercise, and I was still kind of back and forth on medications and things like that and figuring it out, I was having a lot of low moments. And it really was like I just kind of ran around everywhere with a packet of like gummy fruit snacks, like little bunny in my pocket, and like at all my friends' houses, like just like deposited little bunnies everywhere. And I would have them in my pocket or I would have them at the gym. And I just would always kind of really try to be aware of it, but then also pay attention and log things and use a lot of data and my own sort of like things on my calendar or on my phone to be like, okay, I ate 3 bunnies. Like, is that enough? Is that good? And just sort of that seems very blah. But if you do have the same snack and you know the exact amounts and things like that, and you can feel it coming and you can sort of head it off at the pass, then I think, it doesn't feel nearly as bad for as long. And your body then sort of trains itself also to just alert you a little bit better, or you would just become a little more aware of those signs or feelings that you're receiving, instead of it being way after the fact and it's too hard to come back from, that you have to just abandon the workout and go home or you're sick.
Yeah, it's better to be prepared and have the resources that you need and not need them than to not have them. I
Exactly.
definitely agree. What is your favorite form of movement right now?
It might sound sad, but it is just really, I've really been enjoying the walking. I live in San Diego, so of course I have a lot better weather year round to do that. And I think being outside and getting to walk, I do have a Peloton bike and I have a stair climber and things, but I will always sort of default to the outdoor walk if I can, because it's nice weather and it's good to be outside. It always just feels like I get to appreciate the action and the actual moment a little more than feeling like I'm trudging up the stair climber over and over. And I love listening to audiobooks and learning about food or nutrition or reading things through those walks and getting sort of like a double moment of learning something but doing something that's helpful for me as well.
Yeah, that sounds really great for your mental health too. Just
Yes.
some fresh air and sunlight. Yeah, it's really great and on many aspects. What do you wish, this is my last question. What do you wish other people with diabetes knew about your life as being a chef and as being an athlete?
Hmm. I guess I'll take that one from a perspective of, obviously, if they knew me or think they would know me, it would be from like a social media perspective. And I think it's very easy, and everybody says it, but it's super easy to look at somebody's life on social media and think that it's all under control. They've got it. They're on it and they're doing so well. And yeah, I wish they knew that like it took a really long time to be able to run half marathons and to figure out what's going on with me. And it takes a lot of effort and energy to move forward and not feel disgruntled or frustrated or, you know, angry about having something happen to you that you don't have any control over for the most part.
Yeah.
And that, it's okay to feel that way, and it's okay to be unhappy with the hand that you were dealt. But it's also one of those things, if you're looking at somebody else from the outside and thinking, man, like I wish I could do that or be that, like it is possible. You just have to make those efforts, make those connections, talk to the right people, and get the right headspace and motivation, whatever it is for you, that's going to help get you there.
Yeah. And for anyone who may have just gotten the diagnosis of type 2, what advice do you have for them?
uh don't let your care team just tell you what to do. If it doesn't feel right, your medications don't feel like they're agreeing with you in some way, they have long term, or they have, longer release forms. If they're hurting your stomach, they've got, monitors, things like that. Check out all the abilities. I know so many people who get really frustrated or pained from pricking their fingers, and I did too. And the CGMs might be that option for you. Like, really drive your own care because you know your body best. So I have pushed back on a lot of treatment and a lot of doctors, and the way that just I choose to, one, embrace how I live my life, and two, if it just didn't feel right, because you will obviously know when something feels off. So just raise the flag and push back.
That is wonderful advice. Definitely, you have to be your own advocate sometimes. And for the most part, we trust doctors, right? They're the ones that went to med school, but like you said, you're the expert in your own body. You know what feels right and what doesn't. So thank you so much for sharing everything with us, sharing a little bit about your life too. And for more information about managing diabetes, you can go to beyondtype2.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a good night.